What is up, guys? It is July 15th, the morning before the All-Star race, and I just thought I'd take a look at some of these paint schemes. I haven't paid too much attention to it up to this point, but I thought it was worth talking about. Now, the reason I think it's worth talking about is not because I'm big into paint schemes or designs or anything like that. It's because this is a big issue in NASCAR. Sponsorship dollars are dwindling. Now, they're starting to come back recently, but it's still not as good as it once was, and still not as good as it should be. So the teams need to do something to give the sponsors more value for their money, because it is a lot of money to sponsor a race car, and you might not see how that might be worth it for them. $25 million for a full season to be on side of a race car, to me, that doesn't seem like a great deal. I don't think that that's going to bring them $25 million worth of business. So they need to do something else to get their name out there. And having these big logos on the car is the answer that NASCAR's come up with. Now, I'm going to start with this Kurt Busch paint scheme because this one I think is an unnecessary example. Because you look at the normal Kurt Busch number 1 car and you think that's the Monster Energy car. It's black and green. There's a huge Monster Energy logo on the hood, and it says Monster Energy above the quarter panel. Now, that's fine. You can read the logos, and just by looking at the color scheme of the car, it's easily identifiable as Monster. Now, I know they're requiring it for the All-Star race, but this, to me, takes emphasis off the Monster Energy logo, because you look at that, and it's just a big black car. It looks like there's more color on it usually. I don't know how to explain it. This logo, I have a problem with, because a lot of company logos that are text like this are very wide but not very tall, so this space over here is kind of unnecessary for the logo, and it fits perfectly above the wheel. This one, I think they should have left as is, and we're going to take a look at some other bad ones before we get to some ones that I actually like and think are giving the sponsor better value. Here's Ryan Newman's number 6 car. This one I think is atrocious. The Oscar Mayer logo does not fit up here, so usually they have it on this right rear area, but I don't know. For this one, I don't know why they left so much empty space down here. I don't know why they didn't make this logo like 3 times as big. I just don't get it. And the paint scheme looks too bland with this empty space up here and up here. I mean, like, I'm not going to look at this at a quick glance and go, yep, that's Oscar Mayer. I mean, I will see the word bacon, but it's not easily identifiable. Here we have Brennan Poole's red support paint scheme. Again, this one just looks too busy, because the red logo itself is pretty busy, and then the fact that there's no stripes or anything on the car just makes it look like a jumbled mess. I mean, some people like this one, but I guess this one's giving the sponsor a better return on investment by giving them a big logo, because this logo over here would not have fit above the door. So I guess this one gets a pass from me. Now this one really, really bothers me, because you took the Fastenal logo, which would have been bigger if it was up here, moved it to the door, and then made it smaller. See, I don't understand the point of that. If you're going to make it smaller, just leave it up there. Like, I don't get it. The paint scheme itself with the stripes is fine. I think it's great. But in my opinion, the number should be moved down a little bit, and this Fastenal logo should be tilted along with the stripes to allow them to make it larger. And I know they try to stay off the flares and stuff because it kind of warps the logo at a distance, but this one doesn't make sense to me. Fastenal is a very simple one-word logo. It should stay up here. Now this is the worst one, I think. There is no reason for this paint scheme. I don't see why they wasted all this space up in this right rear area, and I really don't see why they had to take this logo and make it so small. Now, for some reason, all the teams are insistent on keeping the sponsor logo parallel to the ground, and there might be a reason for that, but I don't get it, because it just prevents them from making it bigger. The whole point of moving the logo to the door was to make it bigger. Why is it smaller than it was when it was up here? I saw a great suggestion for this one that I thought I'd add on to this. They should just put the heart logo very large right here, and then keep Loves above the door where it was. The sponsor gets double the space on the car, and you don't lose out on any size on the number. The number's still nice and big, still very visible. Now this one is another one that bothers me. Why is this so small? Now I know on the Ford they can't make it as big because there's a cutout right around here behind the wheel well, but the Chevy doesn't have that. The entire door is smooth. Now there might be contingencies that aren't on here yet, but still, why make this so small? It would have been bigger if it was up here. I just don't get it. It makes the car look worse in this case. Now, to contrast this, I want to show you guys some paint schemes that I think worked out pretty well. I don't really know what FVP is, but this paint scheme is incredible because the 21 has remained the same size. It looks good in this area right here. I'm not going to lie. Even if there wasn't a sponsor here, I think the number would look better there on the 21 car just because of the font. But they were able to keep the Menards logo above the door and then add a large FVP logo on both sides on the door. Now, Menards still gets their sponsorship space and the neon yellow color that goes along with it. It's very easily identifiable. And their associate sponsor on the hood also gets an extra logo over here. That's a lot of extra value added. This is the right way to do it, in my opinion. This one, I don't know. The Exalta logo just looks like shit, and the number's too small. But I don't really care. I don't know. This is another bad one, but we're going to skip over that. This one's another bad one, also going to skip over that. I don't understand Actually, I'm not going to skip it because it really bothers me. What's up with all the contingencies over here and then giving Fire Alarm Services, which is one of your primary sponsors, such a small logo? I would put their logo up here, make it nice and big, and then put these little shit sponsorship contingencies or whatever they are and put them down here. They're not paying. Why do they get this prime real estate? I don't get it. This is another example of a perfect one. McDonald's logo is pretty square, meaning the length and width are mostly the same. I think you guys know what a square is. So they're able to move the number back and then put a big logo on the side of the car. And McDonald's is the most identifiable brand in the United States, so it's not too crazy that they'd understand how to put this together, but I think this is a great use of the slid back number. Another great use of the slid back number was the Worldwide Technologies logo. Now, unfortunately, this is not an easily identifiable logo. Not many people know what that is, but they give it good space on the side of the car. And the 43 does look, kind of dumb, slid back like that because it's such a curvy number. I know that sounds stupid, but it just doesn't look right to me. This is another great example. This is the only Hendrick paint scheme that they used the slid back number correctly, in my opinion. They used this space to make a large Ally logo, very easy to see, very easy to read, and they were able to add some extra sponsors up here, keep the A on the right rear, and there's a Hendrick Cars logo right there, I believe. I can't really see that, but that's an excellent use of the space. This one's alright, not much to say about it. See, this one's horrible. I guess you can read the URL, but people with less than optimal eyesight are not going to see the .com down there and realize that that's a website. This one, they did a pretty good job of highlighting the logo because it is a longer word and it's a it's a very long logo, so you couldn't have made it too big, but the way that they encapsulate it with these stripes here puts a lot of attention on it, and they were able to keep another sponsor up here, which is perfect. This is how it's supposed to be used. You put a lot of emphasis on Procore construction software. It's very easy to see and very easy to read. It's perfect. These two, they used the logo space correctly, but this weird black area down here on Austin Dillon's car takes a little bit of emphasis off the logo, so I don't like that. Now, JGR, I think, hit the nail on the head for the most part. This is a very dark picture, so it's hard to tell, but this FedEx one is perfect. And JGR doesn't really need the excessive plastering of sponsors because they receive so much money from their primaries, but they did a very good job with this one, although I would have liked to see them use this space for something. This, the 11, the way it's slid back, and the JGR font really lines up with the wheel well correctly, and the stripes just make it look good. This one, the Kyle Busch one, the kids are going to love this. This is very easily identifiable as an M&M's car, even though it already was before, but This guy, whatever his name is, pointing you right in the face is very easy to see. And yeah, it gets your attention right away. These two, not too hot on them. I guess the Bass Pro Shops one is good because they were able to fit in much more associates, I guess, but I don't know. These are all solid. Wish the numbers were bigger, though. Maybe on the 20. The 20 looks much smaller than the rest of the numbers. I don't really know why, but I think the 11 and 18's numbers are perfect sizes for this. Now, these are another few that are pretty good. Penske did a pretty good job, including with the Wood Brothers, with this one. I like what they did with the discount tire here. This logo just happened to fit perfectly in like the kind of like swoop or vent on the door on the Fords. So they just stuck it in there and made it as big as they could make it. The way that these numbers are similar to JGR, where they're italic and slid backwards. So it lines up with the wheel well nice. Those look nice. Any numbers that are straight up and down don't tend to look very good on this back area, but this isn't really a team that needs all this extra sponsor space, because Brad's sponsors and Joey Logano's sponsors both buy out the whole car usually, and they don't really need to put multiple different logos in different areas. Let's take a look at Stuart Haas. Oops. So, I don't know about this one. Kevin Harvick one, I guess it's cool, but once again, he's not a driver that really needs the slid back number. He's fine on sponsorship. Eric Almirola, same story. Fine on sponsorship. Doesn't really need the slid back number. Smithfield is not an easily identifiable brand, and I'm not really sure why it's black and white. I know their colors are black and white, but it doesn't really catch anybody's eye. And having the Smithfield logo just here, and here is just a little bit too much. Rush Truck Centers and Mobile One. I guess Rush gets an extra spot over here because of it, but it's weird. The Cole Custer one, I don't even know what that thing is on the door. I think it's a spark plug, but it's so hard to see and so hard to read. They could have used that space a lot better. And this whole white area here, it just looks empty. They did get the Autodesk sponsorship back here, nice and big, and they could have had another Haas logo over here, and I think it would have looked pretty good. What happened to my paint schemes? All right, here we go. So, for the most part, that's my thoughts. I'm not really too in part. I don't really think the paint schemes thing is too big of a deal. I just think that the team should be given free reign to do whatever they want. If Jimmy Johnson's team wants to move the number back and put this big Ally logo, let them. But for somebody like JTG, it doesn't look like they wanted to do this. They're kind of not really utilizing the space, and this Cottonelle logo would have looked fine up here instead. So for a team like this, or some of these other teams like the 43, I think it probably would have been better off for them to just leave the number where it was. Same thing with the 34 and the 24 and the 17. Any team with a small logo like this as a sponsor should probably leave it up here. I know they required it for the All-Star race, but I'm hoping that going forward, they just allow the teams to put the number wherever they want. And I know a lot of fans want to keep it in between the wheel wells, but I don't really care. If a backmarker team can get $200,000 extra from putting the number back here instead of over here, let them have it. It's cool to be unique too, and it'll get them more attention. I hope NASCAR lets them do whatever they want with it next year, especially with the next gen car coming in 2 years. They really got to figure this out. Well, I hope the All-Star race entertains. Thank you for watching the video. If you like the video, subscribe. Let me know what kind of videos you want me to make next, and have a good day.